He'd say, I've got
Okay.
anything to do, Linda.
1, 2, 3. Go for it.
Okay, this is Courtney Escher again, talking to you about the Veterans Project. And after I listened to the other recitations, if you will, I decided that I'd forgotten one of the more important ones, and that was the honor flight that we did. The honor flight is apparently what they wanted to do was to honor the veterans of World War II by taking them to Washington, D.C., and to go to all of the monuments commemorating the various wars that the United States has been in. So,
How did you first hear about it, though, Dad?
I think, yes, a number of men in our church had gone on it, and they had a list of them. There were probably a half a dozen. And I asked them about it, and called the man in charge and put my name in. I think all you had to be was a veteran, honorably discharged, to qualify for the trip. So we started out, it was a one-day flight. We started out from Florida to get to Washington. And we, each veteran had a guardian. I was very fortunate. The man that I had, his name was Don Evans, and he did a super job of taking care of me. Each veteran was given a wheelchair if they needed it, and the guardian pushed us around. I remember one veteran who could not keep his shoes tied, and his guardian you'd see him, they'd stop, he'd have to get down on his knees and tie the veteran's shoes. I don't know how many times this happened, and why he couldn't keep his shoes tied, I don't know, but he could. So the veterans did everything. I mean, the guardians did everything for the veterans. We started out first thing in the morning. My wife and I had gone over the night before to stay at a motel close to the airport, because we were supposed to get together for the first meeting at 4:30 in the morning. And if to travel from Sun City Center, where we lived, to St. Petersburg, we'd have had to leave here about 1 o'clock in the morning. So we had decided to stay overnight at the motel, which we did. And so we checked in at 4:30 in the morning. The guardians took us through security, and then we had breakfast. Let's see, I think it was, did you remember who served? No, you weren't, yeah, you weren't there. Anyway, if I think of it, I'll say it later. But anyway, we had breakfast. We boarded the plane about 5:30, and we arrived in Washington. By the way, it was the Allegiant Air that we flew on. They furnished the airplane. I don't know who furnished the gas, I suppose Allegiant Air, but the pilots were both volunteers. We had, I believe, 2 flight attendants. They were also volunteers. By the way, the guardians that we had, each guardian had to pay his own way to Washington, and I think the guardians paid $450 each. As it turned out, I later found out when we were returning home that I could have had one of my children be a guardian for me, but by then, of course, it was too late. Anyway, we boarded the plane. We wound up in Washington about 8:30. We got off the plane, and they had a brass band that welcomed us with military music. We boarded the buses and started out for the various monuments. I think the first one, we had the Iwo Jima Memorial. And then we went to the Air Force Memorial, and then we got to the WWII Memorial. And they took a picture of us at the WWII Memorial. you can't see
Yeah, that
anybody,
looks
but
good.
this is the way the picture was.
That looks good.
And they took this picture, and the date on it is October 14th. I'm sorry, October 29th, 2013. And it says Otter Flight of West Central Florida, Mission 14. You can't really recognize anybody in the picture. I have studied it at some length, and I think I found me, but I'm not sure. My wife isn't sure either, and she knows what I look like. When we returned in the evening. I remember seeing another group of veterans coming in as we were leaving. They were from California, and they were going to stay the night and then do their tour the following day and then fly back the following night. But we boarded the plane about 6 o'clock, got back in Florida sometime between 8:30 and 9. And the exciting part about our arrival was as we got off the plane and marched it and walked into the terminal, they had lines of people that lined up, 2 on each side of the concourse, and you walked between these 2 lines, and it was people welcoming us home, and thanking us for our service, shaking our hands, waving flags. It was really quite festive. The interesting part about this whole thing is that prior in the day, our son Mark
Right.
had flown down from Atlanta just to be in St. Petersburg when the flight landed, scared his mother half to death because she had not expected it. And he was there snapping pictures of everything. And of course I was shocked to see him, but they also took another picture. They had a bunch of young girls dressed in WWII uniforms that surrounded us, and they took a picture of me in the middle of the wax. It was a very festive greeting.
Music also.
Yeah, all kinds of music. Thank you. All kinds of music. I said goodbye to my guardian and thanked him, of course, and he said he'd enjoyed it. He thought as much as I had. So, can you think of anything
No.
else?
You received all the letters and.
Oh, yeah, thank you. When we were on the flight, on the way back, all of a sudden, they announced mail call. And if you can remember, mail call was a mighty important time in a GI's life. It was his touch with home, if you will. And we had mail call. My family had all written letters to me, and they had got a bunch of school children, I suppose, what, 6th, 7th grade, something like that? And they had written letters of thank you for your service, etc., etc. And the teachers had written. So the mail call consisted of probably, in my case, 100 pieces of mail of one kind or another, thanking me for my service. And it brought tears to your eyes. In fact, it does right now a little bit, because I'd never had anything like that. Because when I was discharged from Camp Coy, Wisconsin, and we'd hired this car to take us home, nobody really cared. I'm not even sure my whole family was up when I got there. But so this was really a big surprise. And I would suggest that every veteran, as soon as they're qualified or they're able to take the honor flight, that they do it. It is a great experience. I hope this gets into my memoirs, because it really belongs there. It's a real part of my days in the service. One more thing I'd also like to mention right now when we're thanking people is the James A. Haley Veterans Hospital here in Tampa. They have given me health care for the last 25, 26 years. They've done, I think, a great job. They've always been there when I needed them, and so I just would like to say thank you to them also. Oh, I should also thank you, Linda, for doing this.
Okay,
Can you continue?
okay.
I'd also like to thank my daughter, who has recorded these 3 sessions.
With patience.
Yeah, the patience that she's had to show, because this has not been easy. I also want to thank my wife, who has been here with me for 68 years. We got married when we were both 22. I was a year out of service, still going to the university, and we've been happily married ever since. So, we may or may not be cut.
Mm-hmm. Still going.